So Peter, a question for you in PJCO. How has cloud changed your relationship with your clients, or has it changed it at all?
I think it's probably massively changed the relationship. I think earlier you were saying, Ollie, that what business owners want is business advice from somebody, and they're generally turning to their accountant for that.
Yeah.
If we go back 5 years, we were pretty much the same as every other accountancy firm around, in that we would talk to our clients maybe annually, maybe quarterly if we're doing the VAT returns, but probably not more. Maybe a few of them we spoke to a little bit more often than that, but nothing much more than quarterly. And when we were talking to them, we were just relying on maybe the last year's accounts, or accounts that were 18 months out of date.
Yeah.
So really we didn't know anything
You're
about
spending
their
time just
business.
catching up, really.
Yeah, we didn't know anything about their business.
If you haven't spoken to somebody for a long time, there's a lot of history to catch up on there. So that precious time, I guess, is really spending time just trying to get current.
Work out what's going on.
What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
What is this new loan you've taken? What is this new office you've opened? All that kind of stuff.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's my experience as well with my accountants.
But once cloud accounting started to come in, it was obvious that we could, let's say we had a meeting today, we could go and have a look at their records an hour before the meeting, or a day before the meeting, and see what was going on. So we were actually better prepared to offer them business advice.
Yeah.
So that started the sort of cloud element. Actually, we've got more information available, we can offer advice. What was then happening, of course, is you were coming in as the business owner, asking those ad hoc questions that were nothing to do with whether this debit goes here or that credit goes there. It was more to do with what happens if I do this with a property, what happens if I do that.
Yeah.
And we were better equipped to be able to answer those questions. So,
and what were you doing with those questions beforehand? What if someone asked you, what savings account can I use for my business, or what products should I use for getting some for opening up a new office? Where can I find funding? Who would you turn to?
Well, I mean, generally that was going off and finding a third party that you might have a connection with, you might not. It was somewhere from your network of people that you knew. Yeah,
your personal network, I guess, at this point.
Yes.
Yeah. Why do you use Capitalise in PJCO?
Well, I think Capitalise gives our portfolio managers the opportunity to offer these services without necessarily having in their own experience lots of financial lending experiences. So what they're doing is they're using a system, and we like systems. Basically everything we do works within systems. They're using a system to find the right funding for the right client, and that's a matter of a tick box route that at the end of it produces a result that the client can see is valid. It's gone across a load of lenders, and it's explained what sort of lending might be right for them. The client can see the validity of it. It's not now us saying, go off to Joe Bloggs, he can sort you out a deal. It's a much more valid and a much more sort of systemised route to the right lender. So the clients are going to feel much more confident about it, and the staff are going to feel much more confident about offering that, because of the fact that there's a route through to whole of market for all intents and purposes.
Help that be successful in your firm.
Yeah, so with any of the app providers that we work with, we're looking for support from them. In the first place, our knowledge of that app is nil, or virtually very limited, and so we need that help to understand what the app is trying to achieve and how we are going to use it to get to that result. So there's always a learning process. We found it very useful when there are certified qualifications within those apps, because that concentrates the mind of our staff to understand how the app works and what it's for and which clients it will work for. So having a two-way relationship where the app provider provides us with information and expertise in working out how we're going to provide the service to the client. I think it's very much two-way. There's never going to be an app that just says, right, here's the app, go off and use it, without some help coming back from the app provider as to how to use it.
Your firm is UK firm of the future with QuickBooks. What's the future hold for PJCO? Where are you going?
Right, well, next year we're UK firm of the past, aren't we?
Just a UK firm.
Yeah, we could. next year we're UK firm of the past, but our aim is to keep doing the same thing. The idea is that we're going to try and look at what's changing and try and adapt to it. It's very much a matter that this hasn't finished now. Yeah. This is only the halfway through or the start of the journey. We know where is it going to go to next. We're always looking for the next change in those apps. Yes. The next change that's going to alter the way that we operate.
So new service lines coming in.
Yeah, and I think it's right at the very beginning. To be fair,
what has been that strategy so far? So I'm sort of thinking that you've drawn a little diagram in front of you, which sits around the client, the sort of spokes. Can you talk us through the evolution of PJCO and how it's growing at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, we base the whole thing around the client.
Yeah.
The client sits there in the middle, and if we went back 5 years, what we offered was one service, accounts and tax compliance.
Yes.
And we did accounts and tax compliance for whichever clients we had. That meant we were in contact with them probably annually, maybe quarterly if we did their VAT returns as well. But it was the only service we did. What we produced was some accounts, and we produced some tax computations, and we told them what the tax liability was. And a little bit we tried to reduce that tax liability, but that was it. It was pure compliance. We then went off, and you say the next spoke around here as it starts to offer more services was the cloud bookkeeping app. The key there was to work out that when we started putting in cloud accounting, it wasn't the same as accounting we'd done in the past. We had to use all the advantages of cloud accounting when we did it, and the advantages are that the accountant, the client has that information immediately. It's an awful lot easier to link all the other apps together. If I went back 5 years, I didn't have any of our clients that linked their till to their accounting system.
Yeah,
but now
that's a coins in the corner.
Yes, yeah. Well, you had a till operating over there that was sold on a lease for 50 years, and it was very, very expensive, and it produced some report that then your bookkeeper went and put into your accounting system. There wasn't any link between these two. Now it would be a prerequisite that if you've got a cloud bookkeeper and an accounting app, your till will link to that. So cloud accounting came in there, and how were you going to make that better? That then meant from the back of that we had bookkeeping services, we had other services, credit control services. So that started to expand the route. As I say, after that we had another service route, business apps. How are we going to put these sorts of things in? The likes of Service M8 and Counter and those sorts of apps. How are we going to make businesses run better?
So sort of apps specific to business verticals that help that business run more effectively.
That's right.
And I guess in turn help you with better financial information, and that links into cloud, so you ultimately have a better picture of how that business is performing.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, all of this is only ever any good if the information is accurate and clear. All of these apps are trying to improve that information, or make more information is available, and we're better to interpret it.
You've seen repeatedly that come up that you can charge for to clients, and have you taken steps to making this into a service line under PJCO?
Yeah, I think every time we see a route to create another service line that's going to help the client, we probably try to develop that. That's in the background, developing a system to make it work. So as I said, cloud accounting, business apps. Cloud accounting came first, business apps came second. Tax diagnostics came in there, and employee benefits came in there as other service lines that suddenly, as we started to have these conversations, these things could come about. Financial services, and of course funding came in there. Suddenly there's a need to talk about funding. It's looking for all those opportunities. Once you've spotted them, work out how you're going to make income out of them, or if you're not going to make it, it's perfectly reasonable not to make income out of them if within your overall package for that client you've said, well, I'm going to give you these things within the package we've got already, and it's fine not to earn any more income out of it, but there's going to be opportunities where you will.
If it adds to the retained service that you already offer to the client, then I guess it can be part of the core proposition.
So I think for some clients, funding, for example, could be part of the core proposition. There's not going to be anything extra if you start talking about that. For other clients, it won't be. It'll be very much, well, actually, before we can even start talking about funding, we've got to put all these other services in place first.
So who in your firm does this kind of service line innovation? So thinks out what these new things might be. Is that yourself, mostly?
That's a combination of me and the rest of the team.
Yeah.
I would encourage everybody to do that. It often comes about through just live examples. We're only ever going to work out what service lines are there when we realise customers or clients want those services.
That I started off with is closed. It was in a provincial town in Powys, so on the edge of Wales, and I'm now with, I think, Swansea, which is the sort of default HSBC catch-all area. So the bank branches are closing. With that, my bank manager has gone, so there's no longer that person to speak to. And increasingly, the new products that I see and that I compare, either from friends, referrals, or even just comparing online, are digital. We've got the new banks out there: Monzo, Revolut, Starling, Tandem, Tide, Coconut. The list goes on. There's many of them out there. Not all banks, obviously, but those all have particular vertical offerings, so they focus in a particular area. And as a business or a consumer, I can choose which has greatest affiliation with myself. So what's happened is we see this huge explosion of choice in the market. There's so many options out there, yet there's no one person to go to know how to navigate that market. So there's no bank managers in the market. People have got more and more choice, and increasingly have what we call a paradox of choice, so they don't know necessarily where to go. Yeah. So what we see is really, rather than just simply being, I'm going to go through this stuff, talks about, rather than just being helping some clients with funding, we see an opportunity for accountants actually to step into the shoes and actually be the new bank manager in this cloud era. What are your thoughts around that? And you've obviously been through the journey of with branches, without branches, and seen that transition. What have you seen in the market?
Yeah, I mean, if I go back to the root of when we had managers in branches in provincial towns like Shoreham-by-Sea, it was very much that if you did bank with a particular bank, HSBC, you went along and saw the HSBC manager, and he found you the products you wanted. I think over my 30 years in accountancy, a lot of clients haven't been very happy about the products they got from that bank, and even more so, the managers have disappeared, so they can't talk to them anymore. As accountants, certainly for us, it was actually very difficult to get referrals back from the bank manager. So we might be passing on clients, for funding, for life cover, for pensions, but actually very, very little would ever come back from those bank managers. So it wasn't a very two-way relationship. It may have been for other firms, for us it wasn't. And so it was very much that we were just passing things on and getting nothing back. As that went forwards, the clients, as I say, weren't happy with necessarily the products they got. Certainly, if I look over the 30 years, there's lots of clients that wished they had looked at the whole of the market rather than the high street bank for their pensions and other things. I'm not a financial advisor to tell you that, but that's how clients have come back to me and said, well, if I had thought about this in a different way, rather than just rely on the bank manager, it would have been a different outcome 30 years later. My pension pot might have been entirely different.
Yeah, it takes a long time to have that thought process.
That's right, yeah. But I've been in accountancy a long time.